Greetings. This is General CJG here, and we are finally talking about one of the Disney Plus shows that we've been looking forward to taking a look at for quite a while now. And it's, well, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that just debuted, well, yesterday. So, at the time of this recording at least. So, yeah. And joining me here, I got
the greatest State of Star Wars member of all time, Captain Henson. Yes, I am back.
Yep. And of course, we also have
Jedi Knight Luke, how are you all doing? And oh shit, we're in for a deep one, aren't we?
Well, why don't you tell us how you really feel?
We'll get into that right now. So, yeah, so we're going to discuss our quick initial impressions, at least a summary of it, before we dive deep into each episode. So, yeah, let's start with Luke, since I guess he volunteered with that.
Okay. So, rewind to at the time of this recording just yesterday. I wake up and I see some messages from a certain Spartan accompanying myself and Henson in this video right now. And he says to me, hey, you'd better watch the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. And I'm sure everyone watching this is aware of the atrocity that was Book of Boba Fett. Now I haven't watched Book of Boba Fett, but these two have, and they say it was awful, especially in the latter half. And I asked General, without going into specifics, are we looking at Book of Boba Fett levels of awful with Kenobi? And he said to me, even answering that question will affect your mood with watching it. And that already gave me some pretty negative impressions going in. Then I boot up Disney Plus and I select Kenobi and I look at the play episode screen. And if you guys know which screen I'm talking about, you know what's on there. And then that just gave me negative impressions even more. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, no, they're not going to do that, are they? Ugh. So then, I actually sit down, watch the episodes, and there were a lot of the things that I like, I've got to be honest, are the much smaller aspects. The bigger elements, like as in the main things that we see happen, just had me go, what the heck? And I literally messaged General after I was done watching both episodes, and I literally said that. Because this is really conflicting to me. This is actually the first live-action Star Wars show since the Disney acquisition that I've taken time to watch. And I've got to be honest, because I've not watched Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian, you see. And my first dive into the live-action Star Wars show media has left me with very uneasy feelings about checking out the rest of it. Why is that? Well, we'll get into that later on, but I'm going to pass you guys on to the oh-so-brilliant Lord Henson, and he can say what he thinks.
Yes, as you can see, Luke kind of idolizes me. No big deal. I mean, my collection is better than his. But, so, Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is a show that gave me... Okay, you know what? I'll rewind myself a bit. So, going into it, we knew this show was coming, and originally, I was not too interested. I don't like the idea of Obi-Wan and Vader meeting between 3 and 4. Now, nothing in the films contradicts that, but I just prefer the idea that, the last time they interacted was on Mustafar. I think that's more impactful that it's been like 20 fucking years since they last seen each other, and on Mustafar, no less. And that was my thought process for a while, but I realized something, and for those who are familiar with me already know, I stopped giving a shit about the new canon. I go through the motions. If something interests me, I experience it. But, I don't get hung up on continuity issues etc. And going back to the Obi-Wan meeting Vader thing between 3 and 4, yeah, I realized I don't care about this canon. So why should I be hung up on that? And not to mention, getting these prequel actors back. I didn't think I would ever see any of them back in Star Wars. So it's like, okay, I got that reason to be excited. And this is like the only opportunity I'm going to get of seeing Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen interacting on screen again for the first time in like over 15 years. So, cool. So, episodes come out, and with all Star Wars shows, I watch them with my dad. And the show had me by the balls. First moment during that recap of the prequel trilogy. And from there, it was like high seas, high flying. Smile on my face the entire time. I was seeing these prequel actors doing things, and that's literally all I wanted out of this show. And I got more of that. Even stuff I wasn't expecting. So these 2 episodes left me in pure ecstasy.
Anything else?
Yes, that I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Okay. Well, in my case, let's just say, yeah, my thoughts definitely lean more towards Luke, but that's mostly because a part of me still wants to see how the Disney Star Wars canon works its magic, if you want to call it that. So yeah. Now, unlike say other Star Wars members, like say the Django, for example, who has said before in Book of Boba Fett that if the show had the same issues the Book of Boba Fett had, he could pretty much no longer be interested in watching more live action shows. And I don't share that view so much, but I can definitely see where he's coming from. And seeing the Kenobi show, I'll give it praise that I think the actors and the acting and everything, and even the sets and the visuals, they were pretty good. Like, quality-wise, definitely was... I'd say it definitely was a step up over Book of Boba Fett's first half, which was purely Tatooine with not even the more interesting locales. So, quality-wise, in terms of the sets and actors and, I guess, opportunities and overall just interesting factor, yeah, it definitely was much more interesting than Book of Boba Fett. So, yeah. Now, in terms of the story and where it's going, and in terms of its, overall how it connects to the rest of its media, that's another story, and I won't get into details yet. We'll go episode by episode. So, but yeah, let's just say that one half of me likes the quality-wise of the show in terms of everything but writing. The other half is like, damn, this definitely feels like probably the latest in Disney Star Wars' media that at times feels like it comes from a fan fiction of sorts. I know that sounds bad for some good fan fictions that can exist, but it does feel like it at times. We'll get too much later into that. So, but yeah, I'm pretty much conflicted on it. So that's how I feel at the moment. But you know what? Summary of thoughts. That's done. Let's get in depth with this to see what we're talking about. So, shall we get on with episode 1, guys? The beginning?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then let's begin with episode 1, or part 1 as I call it. So, what is the first thing we see, guys?
The first thing that we get is actually a recap of the prequel trilogy itself.
Pure ecstasy.
For me, that was probably one of, maybe even my absolute favorite element of both these episodes. Yeah, I know, how sad is that? It genuinely felt exciting watching those moments from the prequels again in that montage.
Yeah, there is that. So that's the montage. But what's the next thing we see after that montage?
A very, very fan film-ish looking, and I say fan film-ish because of the way the camera operates during this particular sequence. Point of view on Operation Nightfall, of all things. And it starts off, believe it or not, with a group of younglings being tutored by a Jedi Master, completely oblivious to all of the gunfire and screaming that's probably happening right outside of the training room.
I guess they were too deep.
We don't know how, given the fact that Operation Nightfall happened so quickly, and given the fact that they sensed it, we can imagine it, just started.
There's that. Yeah. So, anyway, go on, Luke.
So, as I say, so it cuts from the montage to the training, and then all of a sudden, clone troopers interrupt it. So, the Jedi Master cuts them down, gets that group of younglings out of the room, and only a few steps out of the training room, the Jedi Master dies at the hands of the clones. And then the group of younglings basically agree amongst themselves that the only thing they can do is run. And we see them running along the bridge, and we hear, faded in the background, the direct rip of Palpatine saying to the clone troopers, "Execute Order 66." And then the scene cuts to black.
Yeah, so what did you guys think of that flashback?
Well, like the flashback we saw of the temple in Mando, pretty great. Had a smile on my face the entire time. Anytime we get stuff from Order 66, unless it's Bad Batch, puts a smile on my face.
Okay, look.
For me, it was really kind of weird, as I said, especially because of the way the camera operates during that scene. It felt very kind of fan film-ish rather than something proper. It only felt proper to me as it closed out, pretty much. To me, it was kind of out of place. I don't think it was really needed.
To me, I do feel it's out of place, but not because of it looking like a fan film or anything. Actually, I thought it was a cool flashback, cool everything. The reason why I think it's out of place, but right now it is out of place. It could be explained later why it was there. But right now it's because I don't see how it ties to the Kenobi show, at least in the present time. Somebody had a theory that maybe one of those younglings was the third sister from the Inquisitors, but it seems that probably it's not the case. So I don't know why that flashback is there yet. We'll probably get the answer later, but who knows? What do you guys think the flashback was for?
Given the fact that it's the first episode and the first thing we see, I can imagine that, yes, it will be important. You can't say that you don't know the meaning of it. We still got, episodes to go through in this serialized show.
That is true, but I hope they don't make the mistake that Book of Boba Fett did with, you just show the flashback of young Boba watching Jango leaving the Slave One, and that was literally just there for visual purposes. It never amounted to anything in the entire show. So I just hope they don't do that.
Book of Boba Fett had the issue of not really telling its story well. Like, the idea was that, he looked up to his father, and now he's moving beyond that. But of course, as I said, that show didn't tell its story well, and it also didn't have a good premise to begin with. But with something like this, and also, we can say that in hindsight. With this, again, we still got episodes.
Yeah, we still got
stuff to figure out. We still don't know the shit with the third sister, because something is going on with her. What it is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, indeed. So,
well, and not to mention, it just serves as a good way to show, what happened to, thrust us into that situation again. Because, we got previously on segment, but with that, we're just thrust into just how chaotic it was.
There is that, yeah. So, we'll see later what that flashback is. So,
one thing I do just want to say very quickly with what you guys were discussing about how there were the flashbacks in Book of Boba Fett that by the time that wrapped up didn't really mean anything. With this show, if there is any importance in the Operation Nightfall flashback, it had better be shown sooner rather than later, because this show has even less time to get its story across than Book of Boba Fett did, because Book of Boba Fett was
7 episodes.
Seven or 8 episodes?
7.
7, and this show only has 6. So if there is any
And-
meaning to it, that it better be worth it.
Again, I'd like to repeat, there was a point to the flashback of seeing young Boba Fett. Again, story just wasn't told that well, and Boba Fett's arc in that show was not executed well at all. And again, with this, we still got time. We still got shit to see. Not to mention, Book of Boba Fett took what should have been only like 3, maybe 4 episodes if we're pushing it, and stretched it.
Yes, it stretched it.
And not to mention, the flashbacks with the Tuskens did not need to be there at all, in my opinion. But with this, again, thrusting us back into that event, how chaotic it was. And again, we still got episodes in this season, so I'm going to hold off judgment. And not to mention, again, I got to see Order 66, got to see the Jedi Temple, younglings. Okay, we didn't really see the younglings getting killed, but we saw Jedi getting killed, and, that's always great. Too many Force users, in my opinion. Good to get them out of the way.
Well, there is that, yeah. So basically, we got back to the present on Mos Eisley, and basically, we see a ship arriving, and apparently it's the ship of the Inquisitors. Grand Inquisitor with his other Inquisitors. They pretty much walk into the saloon, they approach the manager, and they're asking basically if there's a Jedi hiding there, because they've heard rumors that there's a Jedi hiding there somewhere. And the Inquisitors are kind of getting ready to, well, kill anyone that is sheltering the Jedi. And the third sister hurls a knife at the manager, but it's stopped by a young man. With the Force, and the Inquisitors go after him, or at least they try to, but the Grand Inquisitor stops the third sister. Reason is because, well, we'll get to it soon. So, yeah, basically, that's the first thing we see, that the Inquisitors, they arrive, and they are looking for a Jedi, and, well, they do find a Force-sensitive, a Jedi, and he flees. They try going after him. So that's the first thing we see in the present time. So, yeah. So what do you guys think of this part?
I mean, I thought it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the Grand Inquisitor, so it's like, whatever. But, I thought it set up Reva and her whole shtick in the show, the relationship these Inquisitors have with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, you get to see this what happens to this Jedi dude, but yeah.
There's that, yeah. Look?
I wasn't particularly keen on the well, it's kind of 50-50. I don't mind what the Grand Inquisitor was saying about the Jedi Order being a dying light and trying to weed the Jedi out by telling the civilians in that saloon that they were sheltering him. But the idea of more Jedi hiding out on Tatooine, to me, any Jedi other than Obi-Wan doing it or hiding out on Tatooine, at least without a good enough reason, to me feels kind of stupid.
Down in the Outer Rim in Hutt territory, I would say it's kind of smart.
Might want to explain.
To me, this new character feels really unnecessary.
The young Jedi?
Yeah,
I totally disagree.
I don't think I agree with that. Look, I think that there could be another Jedi hiding in Tatooine. Doesn't have to be just Obi-Wan. So,
not to mention, he serves as a good way to show just how out of it Kenobi is. This Jedi comes into it thinking that, oh yeah, General Kenobi, he's gonna help me, and then have his dreams fucking dashed. It helps in Obi-Wan's character arc, is what I'm saying. He serves a narrative function.
Yeah, indeed. Which we'll get to later when we get to the next part in regards to this young Jedi and Obi-Wan. So, yeah. As for me, well, I like seeing the scene. I like seeing the Inquisitors. I do wonder something in regards to the show, but that I'll get to much later. So, but yeah, I like seeing this, and it was interesting. So there is that. I don't have much to say on here. So, anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, well, next we finally see Obi-Wan Kenobi pretty much working and pretty much apparently carving up flesh from the remains of a crate dragon, and he's pretty much wrapping it up. The liver said, and there's some issue with one of, I think, the manager of the workplace with certain worker, and Kenobi, he just accepts the wage and he just pretty much rides the hover train back to Anchorhead, like he didn't want to get into trouble. He then meets up with his EOP and he rides to the Jinland Wastes to his shelter cave, where he pretty much cooks himself meal. Then there's this Jawa that visits Kenobi to pretty much sell him some stuff, sell him a T-16 Skyhopper toy, and then apparently the Jawa, he was like, oh, here's a piece to repair your evaporator, and then Kenobi's like, next time if you're gonna sell my own pieces from my evaporator, at least clean them. So there is that, and then also that night Kenobi's haunted by memories basically of his apprentice, Padme, Yoda, Qui-Gon, etc. It's a bit of a montage of sorts of some scenes of the prequels. So then Kenobi awakens and tries to contact Qui-Gon, no response. And then he just rides his EOP to where Luke is and his aunt and uncle in the homestead, watching from afar with the binoculars. And yeah, so that happens. And then at one point, Kenobi gets visited by the young Jedi, and Kenobi's like, don't want to go back to being a Jedi. Just leave, bury your lightsaber, just stay into hiding. And that's what happens. So, yeah, that's what happened, guys. So what do you think of this?
I think it works for Obi-Wan's character. I mean, at this point, he's broken, he's depressed, going through the motions. His sole purpose in life is making sure Luke is safe and then one day training him. Not to mention, haunted by visions. How familiar. That did bad shit to someone he knew. But, yeah, it's really great seeing Obi-Wan just depressed, going through the motions like this. You know, unlike Luke in the sequel trilogy, well, Last Jedi anyway, where we get an idea, a justification, but it's not explored that well, not well defined, and kind of bullshit when you really think about it. But here, like, we have the reason, 3 movies worth. It's like, yeah, he would be in this spot he's in, so yeah, I like it.
Luke?
First and foremost, I think all of us can agree that Ewan McGregor, he may not have stepped into those boots for 17 years, but he's still got it. He is absolutely still the Obi-Wan Kenobi that all of us know and love him as.
Yep.
And so something that is rather interesting is getting the glimpse that we see through the nightmare that was just mentioned about the fact that everything he had been through over the course of the prequels going into this show has essentially left him with PTSD. Exactly if this will be explored deeper over the next 4 episodes, I don't know, but that is interesting to see, and he still has some of his wit, like with what you said, General, when he says to Tika, the Jawa that he was buying things from, you know, if you're going to steal my parts from me, the least you could do is clean them, you know, as a courtesy. And yeah, we see that he's completely broken, pretty much left the Jedi way behind because he has to, and I mean, we see he's not the man he once was, which he outright says in the episode itself.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Can't really think of anything.
My case, I think this is probably my favorite part in this entire episode because it's actually what I wanted to see. Obi-Wan's life in exile in Tatooine. That's what I wanted the most out of this show, and was skeptical it wouldn't get, which that skepticism is kind of warranted, which we'll get to later. But yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted basically seeing Obi-Wan, how he lives in Tatooine. That was what I wanted the most. And this one part, I enjoyed it. I liked it. And definitely reminds me of the several EU sources where we see Obi-Wan, how he was living in Tatooine. You know, stuff like Life and Legend of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Kenobi book, so on and so forth. So this is definitely my favorite part of this entire episode, excluding flashbacks of the prequels, because those are obvious. So yeah, this is my favorite part. And I don't think I have any issues with it at all. I think it was done great. So, yep. Anything else to mention on this one, guys?
No.
Okay.
No.
The next is a scene that it came out of left field and I did not expect it whatsoever. And what I'm talking about is that we get a glimpse, well, not a glimpse, we get an entire scene of what is going on in Alderaan. Basically, Princess Leia, where she is right now with Bail and the Queen. And this, yeah, well, first I'll say,
seeing Alderaan in live action. God.
I'll give it credit, yeah. Definitely was great to see that world building and also seeing how Bail and family is doing. So that was great. But if you ask me, that came out of left field because I didn't expect it at all. So
I mean, we knew we were getting Leia in this show, so I
Really?
expected it.
I actually didn't expect it.
We got confirmation we were getting young Leia in this show like a while ago.
I must have missed it.
Yeah, and that's also why I was expecting Bale to show up. And naturally, he did. I think the Queen is played by the same actress she was in 3, but I'm not sure.
I'll check that right now.
Because if it is, then Jesus Christ. That was only like a few seconds on screen.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, it seems to be a different actress. Just check.
Damn.
Okay.
Well, regardless, we got Jimmy Smits back as Bale. Always nice seeing him.
Yeah. It is weird that he looks older here than he does in Rogue One. That was weird. So.
Yeah, I suppose they weren't exactly bothered with with de-aging in any way.
Or at least they're faking it. Oh well.
Yeah.
Minor issue. Doesn't do much.
I mean, given the fact that, granted, it has been 17 years since episode 3, but 10 years, 17 years, they're already old. Point is, it doesn't bother me. I'm just happy he's here.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very minor issue. Not really something to get too annoyed at.
And we get to see him interact with Leia. I don't think we got a lot of that in the EU, at least.
We do have at least I don't know if it's a summary, but we do have an idea of how Leia's life was. Just not stories that either illustrate or showcase too much in detail. Basically, how Leia was living in Alderaan. But yeah, we do have her childhood in written, so it's not like it was a mystery. So yeah.
Just saying, we didn't get a lot of seeing these two characters interact.
Well, there is that, yeah.
So it was nice to see their scenes here, and Leia acted pretty much what I'd expect a baby Leia to act.
Or kid Leia, yeah.
Baby Leia, kid Leia, you know what I mean.
I know. So there is that. So yeah, this scene was out of left field, but you know what? We could have like a small glimpse of what's happening in Alderaan, how Leia's doing. So I don't mind that glimpse. So yeah, that's fine on my end. So there is that. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay. Next, we go back to Tatooine, and well, Kenobi, he pretty much, he had left the T-16 Skyhopper toy in the Lars homestead, and as a gift to Luke. And I think a day later or something, Kenobi is still going back to his work routine, and he heads back to the stable in, I think, Mos Eisley, where his Yope is resting. But then Kenobi apparently is confronted by Owen Lars, who pretty much throws the Skyhopper toy to the ground in front of Obi-Wan and tells Obi-Wan to stay away from his family. They don't need anything from him. And, well, let's just say that Kenobi says that there is more to life than just a farm, but Owen, let's just say he doesn't want Kenobi to be in Luke's life, which I could see why. I mean, Obi-Wan is still going to stay there to protect Luke, but, well, so that's what happened. And, yeah, so that's the next scene. So what do you guys think of this one?
I loved this whole scene, because we know by the time of episode 4, Owen doesn't like Obi-Wan, like, at all. And just seeing how bitter he is towards him, that one moment where Obi-Wan says it's just a toy and Owen says it's more than that. Like, he knows what could happen. And of course, him bringing up Anakin was amazing. Just, love seeing these two interact.
Yeah, agreed. So this was also a great part, if you ask me. A great scene. Luke?
This was probably one of the best scenes of both episodes. The part that I personally want to highlight, if you guys don't mind, is that we've talked about this. When the time comes, he must be trained. That line specifically. Do you guys actually really think Obi-Wan tried to persuade Owen and Beru to allow that much earlier on?
I don't know about that, but definitely he was reminding Owen what the boy was meant to be in the future. But of course, Owen is like, like how you trained his father.
Yeah, it's just the reason I bring that up is because it makes it sound, especially because of Obi-Wan saying, we've talked about this. It kind of makes it sound as if Obi-Wan had spoken to Owen and Beru
Earlier,
like years prior, and they sort of accepted, even if they had reservations about it, only for Owen now to completely put his boot down and say, no, this is not going to happen.
Get that at all. I got the feeling that, there's already animosity between these two. So I feel like they've danced this dance before.
I suppose, but it's like, a part of me, there is a part of me that's kind of like, wait, what? Because it wasn't until they were young adults that Anakin and Owen met. They barely knew each other. So it's kind of like,
your stepbrother pretty much became the second evilest man in the galaxy.
Well, no, they don't.
Well, yeah, I get that, but it's like,
I don't understand the point you're trying to make here.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, look.
I don't understand the point you're trying to make here.
Yeah, what's the issue here?
I'm trying to think about I'm trying to think of how to say it, and I can't.
The point is that you think that there was a part or a scene missing of Obi-Wan explaining to Owen and Beru what happened to Anakin and his children. It's been 10 years since the events of Episode 3, so it's a long gap. They must have had a discussion before. There is no way that they didn't. So
I think it's perfectly believable that Obi-Wan filled them in on what the fuck happened, because, I mean, you kind of need to do that when you just give them a baby.
Yeah. So,
not to mention someone that's not related by blood, but that whole thing. So it's like, I believe, and I think it's pretty obvious watching the show that they talked about it. Obi-Wan is still very much adamant about one day training Luke, and Owen's saying, fuck that shit, that ain't happening. And just this constant back and forth. Like, I mean, like the whole, it's just a toy. No, it's more than that. Like, they've done this thing before. Owen knows what the fuck's going on, and he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. So yeah, they talked before, so that's not really an issue. Look, so there is that. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next, well, apparently the Inquisitors visit Tatooine a second time, and they decide to harass the shit out of the farmers and settlers there to pretty much, well, reveal where the Jedi is, and they don't really comply. In fact, Owen was there, and the third sister was like suspicious of Owen hiding something, and well, she tries to persuade him forcefully to reveal the identity and location of the Jedi, but Owen didn't do it. The Grand Inquisitor is like, stand down, just put a bounty hologram there for the young
wasn't
Jedi.
the Grand Inquisitor, it was the
the fifth brother, yeah.
his seventh brother, I
no,
think.
it was the fifth one. So
Fifth.
yeah, fifth brother puts a hologram there. The Grand Inquisitor tells third sister to stand down, and they pretty much just tell the farmers and settlers, if you find the young Jedi, you will be rewarded if you cooperate. So yeah, there's that, and Owen then quickly goes back to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan thanks him for not revealing him, and Owen's like, I didn't do it for you. So yeah, that happened. So yeah, what do you guys think of this, the second visit?
I thought it was really tense. Granted, I mean, yeah, we knew Reva wasn't going to find out anything, but I still think it was pretty suspenseful. And plus, again, it shows the relationship she has with the fifth brother, and also just, and actually, it's here that we find out that she's looking for Kenobi. So, or looking for Kenobi specifically. So there's that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which...
And of course, why she's looking for Kenobi specifically, we don't have the full story behind that. Oh, wait, actually, yeah, we do find out later involving Vader, but I think there's still more to it than that.
Well, basic gist of it is basically that she wants to capture Kenobi, deliver him to Vader, so that she can get some sort of favor from Vader, like some big reward or power position or something. That's what she wants. Which... If this was years earlier, like closer to Episode 3 events, I could understand that. But being 10 years after, I thought Vader no longer gave a shit about Kenobi, or at least not in the sense of allowing.
Did you even watch Rebels?
Rebels?
Yes. Vader was still, okay, I wouldn't say obsessed, but he was still very adamant about finding Kenobi even up until then.
Well, in that case, and apparently...
So it's like, yeah, this isn't surprising. In fact, it should have been expected.
Well, in that case, then I guess Vader hasn't learned shit from his mistakes. Well, good job there. But that's not...
Well, I mean, keep in mind, this is the same guy who can't let anything go, so...
Well...
And not to mention, I mean, remember what Obi-Wan did to him?
Yeah.
And what he thinks Obi-Wan did to him. You know, oh, you turned her against me.
Yeah,
all that. Yeah, not to mention cutting off his limbs, leaving him to burn to death, putting him in that suit for the rest of his life. Like, yeah, I mean, if I were Anakin, I would be obsessed with hunting this guy down too.
You would be, but then again, how would Palpatine like that? But then again, this is Disney Star Wars, and if
going back to Rebels,
yeah.
Like, we know Palpatine is more annoyed at Vader's like fixation on finding Kenobi, but you know, it doesn't do anything more than that. And besides, I mean, Vader's still, you know, his dog, so there's that too.
I guess that's the dog just barking. Anyway, so, well, in that case, then I guess this isn't really an issue on this show. It's just more continuity itself, but okay, well, in that sense, then, yeah, I guess that's fine. So, other than that, yeah, I don't think I have much more to say on this. Luke, what do you think of this?
Yeah, the scene was very suspenseful, and we see here clear on display that Obi-Wan is still the priority of the third sister, even though the Grand Inquisitor instructed her to let go of him, as it were, to drop thinking about him. And of course, the whole, Obi-Wan showing his gratitude to Owen, and Owen saying, I didn't do it for you. I understand this is their dynamic, but it's just considering the situation that Obi-Wan was in, and the fact that he showed his gratitude only for Owen to give him the cold shoulder. I get that's how they are, but it kind of peed me off. That's.
I think it's natural for those two. So there is that. Anything else to say on this one?
No.
Okay. Well, then let's get to the next part, and this is where I think the whole premise of the show just veers off into whatever it wants to do. So basically, we go back to Alderaan, and we pretty much see, Leia playing around outside, and there is this one point where Leia says that she's not too interested in politics, which that does surprise me a bit, but, she's a kid, so I guess I could see why. So there is that. She's playing with her small toy. Oh, there's also this one party where Leia apparently she's talking to her cousin, and the cousin is like, "Oh, we know that you're not really Bael's actual daughter, that you're adopted," which that kind of pissed her off, and yeah, I can see why that would piss her off, and they got.
Well, I mean, it was more so the fact that he says that you're not a real Organa.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it is in the EU, but in the canon, she knows she's adopted.
In the EU, everyone knew that that she was adopted. So the only thing they didn't know is that she was the offspring of Anakin Skywalker.
Well, that goes without saying.
So yeah, it's pretty much the same here. That everyone knows that she's not really Organa's blood daughter. So there's that. Then basically. Well, let's just say that then Leia decides to randomly just sneak outside of the building into the forest and to play with her little droid. And then, let's just say that some group of mercenaries decides to literally come out of nowhere and kidnap her. And kidnap her, they managed to do. So, yeah. So that happened. And then what happens? Well, apparently Bael decides to call Obi-Wan to rescue her. To ask him to rescue her. Obi-Wan refuses because he has a mandate to protect Luke. And so, yeah. He also told Organas to, hey, find someone to get her back. Like, my duty is here with Luke. So, yeah. So that happened, and yeah, and then at one point, Bael literally arrives on Tatooine to personally ask Kenobi to literally go and rescue Leia. And from there, apparently Kenobi decides to do it, and then he departs Tatooine. I know there's a few other things, but I'm trying to summarize as much as possible. So that's the basic gist. Leia gets kidnapped and gets taken away from Alderaan. Bael decides to contact Kenobi to get him to rescue her. Refuses at first through hologram, so he goes personally to ask Kenobi. Then that's where Kenobi accepts, and he goes. And yeah, that's where I guess the episode ended. At least the basic gist of it. So yeah, what do you guys think of this?
Okay, so I knew going into this series that Obi-Wan was going to get off Tatooine somehow.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious.
In the trailers.
Like, so obvious that if you didn't see it coming, I don't know what to tell you. You're an idiot. But, because, I mean, even without the trailers, we already knew that him and Vader would meet up. And, he needs some reason to get off Tatooine. And to tie it back into meeting up with Vader, it would also have to tie in with the Inquisitors somehow, and it does. I think it all made sense. And as for Bael going to Obi-Wan, I think he makes a pretty solid case. Can't really trust anyone. Obi-Wan really is the only one he can trust with this situation, because, why the fuck would they kidnap Leia and not try to ransom her? Granted, could be a trap, but I mean, we see in the next episode, Obi-Wan was prepared for that possibility. He had a way out, or he figured a way out in that situation.
I guess there is that.
Point is, I think it all made sense.
Look, what do you think?
Okay, so seeing Alderaan and getting that glimpse of Leia, I agree with you, General. It was very out of left field, and the fact that come the second half of this episode, and of course for the entirety of the next episode, the Organas have such a prominent role. Yeah, I'm not super keen on that, to be honest. I think, and the fact that Bail blatantly disregards Obi-Wan's duty in looking after Luke specifically, which he knows of, obviously, I think is really quite stupid.
Well, to be fair, what exactly has happened to Luke?
Well,
nothing.
Well, nothing so far, but he has the age of getting himself into trouble, and not to mention the inquisitors are searching Tatooine.
And another thing as well, Leia, she wasn't abducted personally by Vader or Palpatine or even the Inquisitors. It was just a gang of freaking mercenaries.
Yeah.
Like, could Alderaan's security forces really not have done anything against them?
Yeah, this whole thing makes the Organa seem incapable of taking care of Leia, which in a way kind of ruins that one part of the ending of episode 3 where, you know, Balin was tasked to keeping an eye on Leia. If he and his wife and the Alderaan forces are literally not capable of taking care of Leia by themselves, and they have to literally rely on the other entity that is protecting the other kid, the other hope of the galaxy, then maybe somebody else should have taken care of Leia instead. To
be fair, it was already established that Leia kind of sort of goes off on her own, away from them a lot. And also Alderaan being a peaceful people, etc., etc. Point is, I can totally buy that a group of criminals can kidnap someone and hightail it off a planet. I mean, it's not that improbable.
It wouldn't be improbable. What's improbable is that the Organas literally have nobody else to take care of it. They couldn't have taken their own Alderaan forces or hired some capable bounty hunters or something. Like, no, it has to be Obi-Wan and literally get him out of duty of Tatooine. Hell, they could have even gone some other Jedi, I think. Like, there were...
what other Jedi do they know of, General?
Well, I guess Ahsoka would be one if she's here somewhere. There's her, then I believe Kanan at one point, he was...
Well, here's the thing, though. None of them know who Leia actually is. Obi-Wan is the only one.
The only other Jedi that Bail could have trusted with this is Yoda.
Yeah, but Yoda's even more isolated.
And Yoda's off the face of the fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
I know.
And as I said, given that Bail doesn't know why the fuck these people took Leia, you know, no ransom, no nothing. Who else can he turn to? Like, in a situation like this where you have no idea what the fuck is going on, you would turn to the one person you think could figure this shit out. What, like trust some bounty hunter you paid? Fuck no. I trust the guy I fought alongside with, who I know can actually help me and who won't ask for anything in return. And who already knows the situation, so he already knows the stakes at hand. The point is, I think it all makes sense.
I guess there is that. So...
I
guess there is that. So that's the first episode. And is there anything else to mention on this episode before we go to the second one?
There is an incredibly small thing, and when I say it's a small thing, I do mean it's a small thing, but if you don't mind me mentioning it, I actually really liked the moment just before Obi-Wan boarding the transport where he heads out far into the Dune Sea and recovers both his lightsaber and Anakin's, because he had them buried somewhere.
Yeah, definitely saw that coming, given what he told the young Jedi.
Yeah, but bury your lightsaber and start a new life. Seeing both of those sabers again as a bit of a lightsaber nut, yeah, that was... I liked that, personally.
Something else I'll bring up, and this... if I remember correctly, this does bleed up. what I'm bringing up is him trying to talk to Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon just not talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
My hope, and I swear to God, if this doesn't happen, I am gonna be pissed, like genuinely pissed, is that by the end of the show, Obi-Wan is gonna be of the mindset of, yes, Anakin is truly gone, more machine than man, all that, and then that's when he finally does his training with Qui-Gon. And that's when his purpose is rejuvenated in a way, because we need to have Obi-Wan go from this sad sap to Alec Guinness. And I think we should see that transition in this series. And I think we will. And so hopefully Liam Neeson is in this series, because if he isn't, fuck that.
And also, it would be nice if we got to see Qui-Gon as a full Force ghost rather than just being a voice.
Well,
But then again, I don't know if you can complete that training when you're already dead. Because the thing is, Qui-Gon never completed the training, so that's why he can only manifest as a voice.
yeah, he's always been nothing but a.
That was established in TCW.
Well, yeah, even in the old EU, he was only a voice, so there's that too. So there is that. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
No.
So episode 2. So here we start with Obi-Wan finally arriving to the planet Daiyu to pretty much find Princess Leia and bring her back to the parents. So he had no idea where to go, so just like he was asking around, and then there's this one bit where he literally encounters a homeless clone trooper on the 501st Legion asking for credits, and we just gives some credits.
Fucking loved it.
It's because it's Tamora Morrison, right?
And, well, that, getting to see him interact with Ewan McGregor again after 17 fucking years. But also, for the first time ever, Tamora Morrison is in actual clone armor. Because the clone armor in the prequels was all CG.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first time he's actually in a physical suit, which fucking love. And also, yeah, just anytime I see Tamora Morrison in Star Wars, it's just, warms the cockles of my heart.
There is that. So yeah, Kenobi's looking around. He sees stormtroopers. He talks to this one pink-haired girl that is like selling spice, and the girl's pessimistic about Kenobi finding his daughter. So if she's someone's daughter, then you're not gonna find her in Daiyu. So yeah, so that's what's going on. And then there's this. Well, let's just say Kenobi hears about this Jedi that is apparently helping people, and Kenobi he takes a look to see this Jedi, and this Jedi helped a family to pretty much get passage to Corellia. And well, let's just say that the Jedi is using the Force to pretty much persuade the other person behind the communicator to get the passage, and he manages to do it. And then Kenobi approaches the Jedi and asks if he could help him to pretty much find Leia, and the Jedi introduces himself, and he asks for like 500 credits to look at the girl, another 300 to take him to her, and well, let's just say he attempts to impress Kenobi with knowledge of the Force, but Kenobi pretty much knows that he's nothing but a fraud, a fake Jedi using magnets and shit to mimic the Force. So, and Kenobi has this man at gunpoint, and it's like, you're going to help me find this girl. And well, yeah, and that's what they do. So yeah, that's what happened. So what do you guys think of all this?
So one thing I would like to bring up is I like Obi-Wan using a blaster here. It's a good way of showing just how out of it he really is. 10 years out of being a fucking Jedi.
And being
so that's great. The whole, so uncivilized. And now he's here. That's called irony for you children.
You literally took it out of me, Henson. I was going to say that.
Yeah, and also this character, I'm spacing on his name. He was fun.
Apparently,
I thought.
He's called Hadja. Yeah, weird name.
Hadja. But yeah, he was fun. I got a laugh out of him.
Yeah, it was interesting. So there's that. Luke?
Um, yeah, so just a couple of quick things. So Daiyu as a planet feels very much like another Coruscant,
In
doesn't
a
it?
way.
And of course seeing the fake Jedi, that was interesting. And actually you guys have just mentioned Obi-Wan using a blaster, and this actually like has just sort of sprung to mind. At the very end of the previous episode, as I just said, Obi-Wan recovers both his and Anakin's lightsabers, but throughout the entirety of this episode, he never uses them, which
I mean,
to me, I have to be honest, makes me ask, why did you bother recovering them?
Uh,
well, because you never know when you're going to need it. Remember, this weapon is your life.
well,
He's hiding it because, kind of like showboating it around is not a smart idea.
Yeah,
You
I
want to
get
keep a low profile, but have it in a worst case scenario.
mm,
I I get
It all
that,
makes sense.
I get that, and we do get a scenario that kind of fits that description at the end of the episode, and even then he doesn't use either of them, so
put it simply, he just has it in case he absolutely needs to use it. So,
And throughout the episode, he really doesn't.
mm-hmm. So,
And again, like, we see him try to fight. Again, 10 years out of practice. He is not the man he used to be.
mm.
So the fact that he's even able to put up any kind of fight is impressive.
There is that, yeah. So, yeah, so that's the case there with the lightsaber. Anything else, Luke?
no.
Okay. Then we go into the next bit where basically Haja, the fake Jedi, agrees to help Kenobi to find the missing girl. He leads him to the sewers, and then Kenobi uses a disguise to enter this makeshift laboratory. He makes a glass tank explode to create a distraction to get into the door of the mercenaries' base. He's confronted by a Sabrak and a human worker. Kenobi manages to fight them hand to hand, and he does manage to take them down, but but you can see that he was struggling a little bit. So there's that, and then he manages to get into a cell where he finds a hooded figure. He believes to be Leia, but turns out it was a droid being just a decoy, and Kenobi's basically surrounded and captured by several of the mercenaries, and they manage to restrain him. And then the leader of these mercenaries comes in, and he's like, "Oh, so you are Kenobi. The third sister was right about you. She figured you out." Pretty much confirming, yeah, it was a trap all along. So that's what happens. Kenobi demands to know the whereabouts of Leia. He manages to pretty much put this vial of red spice that pretty much blinds the shit out of the mercenaries. So he manages to escape, and then he finds Leia, and he pretty much manages to, well, get her out of there, and they go back out to the streets. So, yeah. So what do you think of this?
I liked it, Great seeing Obi-Wan going through a drug lab. Never thought I would see that, but here we are. And again, going back to what I said earlier, we see that he thought of an escape plan, using that vial of spice in his favor to make his getaway.
Mm.
He still got the smarts, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And all this time, he wasn't even using the Force.
Well, I mean, with the Force, gives you good reflexes, but when you're 10 years out of practice and you've been trying your damnedest to not use the Force, yeah, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
Yeah, there is.
Like, he needs to build himself back up.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Look.
Yeah, as you guys said, Obi-Wan going through that lab was interesting. Having to take those guards on hand to hand was interesting, and of course, he may be significantly out of practice, but considering all of the years of training as a Jedi he had done beforehand, he's rusty, sure, but of course, when you've trained for that long, for as long as he did, being out of practice over a decade wouldn't leave you completely without muscle memory, and he manages to get by. And
Also, keep in mind, he's also in like a very bad mental state. So there's that too.
but I would say, considering all of that, he manages to take those guards down fairly easily, all things considered.
I mean, he struggles. He is able to beat them and still have enough energy to keep going, but he did struggle at least a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I say fairly easily. Then, of course, when he finally comes across Leia and has to guide her through the streets of Daiyu, there are a couple of exchanges that they have which I find quite interesting. Mainly because Leia can tell that Obi-Wan is hiding his capabilities, and even says to him, you know, people always say that the less you talk, the less you give away, but that's not entirely true. And Obi-Wan so asks Leia, "How old are you?" And then Leia gives her age, 10, and then Obi-Wan says, "You don't sound like you're 10." Like he acknowledges that, considering her age, Leia does have a fair degree of wisdom in her brain.
There is that, yeah.
Yeah, expected nothing less from baby Leia.
There is that. Yeah. So that scene happens, and it's some cool action. So I'll admit that. And yeah, I don't think I have much else to say. So shall we move on to the next part?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we see Kenobi and Leia pretty much changing clothes to blend in with the crowd, at least outer clothes like robes and shit. And Leia realizes that he's a Jedi because she must have found a lightsaber, and the robe pretty much seemed to look like a Jedi robe. So Kenobi doesn't want to tell her anything, so there's that. Then we see the Grand Inquisitor with the fifth and fourth sister pretty much confront the third sister because apparently she decided to, kidnap Organa's daughter, and that is not cool in their eyes because it's an Imperial Senator's daughter. And Reva says that she found a link between Organa and Obi-Wan, so she used Leia as bait to lure him, and apparently she was right, and Grand Inquisitor's furious, and he disavows the third sister from the Inquisitors, from what it looks like, because he just takes the other Inquisitors to do the job. Like, they're just left her behind. So there's that, and
also important to know he said he would deal with her later.
That too. So yeah. Then Reva apparently placed a bounty on Kenobi, which draws the attention of all sorts of criminals and bounty hunters, and basically everyone's now searching for Obi-Wan and Leia, and Kenobi and Leia are trying to keep a low profile, but let's just say it gets them into trouble, especially because they're trying to get into the streets. Leia, for some reason, is so adamant in Kenobi showing that, oh, you got a lightsaber or you got force powers, and how about you show me that? And Kenobi's like, sip it. We're trying to sneak out of here. I cannot. If I do that, we're gonna draw attention. So
bear in mind, not only is Leia very young, but she's grown up in a very, very privileged environment, and as a result, young kids who have both of those things, especially if their parents haven't done the firmest of jobs in instilling respect for other people into those kids, they will express things like that.
Okay, I would like to throw something in there about the whole respect thing. Here's the thing. Leia got kidnapped. She's in an unfamiliar environment. Doesn't know where the fuck she is, who to trust, and then you have this guy just show up. Like, yeah, he saved her, but she doesn't know if he has ulterior motives. It's just a strange guy who's refusing to tell her anything. That's enough not to trust him, or at the very least, be suspicious of him. And after the day she had of being kidnapped and gagged and tied up, and plus she's a child in a criminal city, or criminal-infested city, I don't blame her at all. This makes perfect sense.
I guess there is that. So yeah. So then that happens, and then apparently the fake Jedi gets info that apparently there's a bounty on Kenobi, and that's where he gets an opportunity to make money. So they pretty much decide to join the hunt for Kenobi, and then the Grand Inquisitor and the other inquisitors and the Empire pretty much searching to no end for Kenobi. So there's that, and then one of the Fourth Sister pretty much found out that apparently Reva put a bounty on Kenobi, which that pisses off the Grand Inquisitor. So they also have to deal with her. So there's that. And then there's this one point that Kenobi pretty much takes care of, I believe it was, one of the bounty hunters. He inspects the bounty hunter's hologram. Leia sees the hologram, and she's like, and she thinks that Kenobi lied to her about him pretty much being sent by his father to rescue her, and she pretty much runs away from him, and that gets Kenobi into trouble because apparently Leia's causing a bit of a ruckus, and Kenobi has to, get her. So he goes after her, and they go all the way into the roofs, and apparently Kenobi's in a shooting contest against some other mercenaries. He has to shoot him back, and Leia's considering jumping from one of the roofs, and she kind of does, or I guess she was goaded into jumping, and Kenobi literally, he was forced to use the Force in order to get Leia to not get hurt, and he manages to do it to get her to soften the blow. And then he jumps down, and Leia is like, "You are a Jedi." So now she trusts him. So I guess there is that. And also at one point in there, Reva was like just searching the roofs, and she sees the fire, and she goes after them, but she didn't manage to get there in time, at least at that point. So, yeah, there is that. So before we get to the next part, so what do you guys think of all that?
Thought it was great. Him using the Force. Powerful moment.
Luke?
Yeah, the blaster battle that took place between Obi-Wan and that bounty hunter was good fun, and obviously there was having to still try and protect Leia while she was running away from him to worry about. Obviously raises the stakes. You had Reva coming in and basically missing Obi-Wan by a hair's breadth, and then using the Force and just managing to suspend Leia midair just before making impact on the ground at the last minute. It was tense. It was tense, and that's what that situation needed to be.
There is that, yeah. So, yeah. So I thought it had some great action, and definitely was cool seeing Obi-Wan finally use the Force. So there is that, and seeing the visuals, the planet Daiyu, and it was definitely interesting to see. So yeah, no issues there. Then next part, Kenobi and Leia, they pretty much managed to reach the spaceport, only to learn that apparently the authorities canceled all incoming travel, pretty much in lockdown. And, they're going to have to find some other way to get out of there. And basically, one of the bounty hunters, a droid bounty hunter, manages to spot him, but Haja pretty much shoots him down. Haja pretty much, he wants to make amends for all the bad shit that he's done before, at least all the lies and shit, in order to get credits. So he pretty much tells Kenobi that there is this transport that can leave, and if you and the girl can board, you can pretty much escape from here. And Haja pretty much tells him to trust him and reassure Kenobi that he will not be alone, and he also agrees to buy Kenobi and Leia some time. So they managed to get there to escape. Then, meanwhile, the Grand Inquisitor is interrogating Nokru, the mercenary leader, with this double-bladed spinning lightsaber, and managed to know Kenobi's location. And with some persuasion, manages to the mercenary died. So yeah. Then Reva manages to find the fake Jedi, and the fake Jedi, let's just say that buys time to let Kenobi and Leia escape, but let's just say Reva manages to force probe Haja, and she knows now the location of Kenobi, so she goes after him. So then that happens, and yeah, and then they finally arrive to the cargo port, and so they arrive there, but also Reva arrives there, and Kenobi's hiding behind the crates. Same goes with Leia, and Leia goes to the transport. Kenobi buys her some time, and then Reva reveals that she intends to get Kenobi to Vader, and that's where Obi-Wan realizes, oh, so Anakin is alive. And yeah, that definitely got Obi-Wan a bit of a low blow there. However, she's interrupted by the Grand Inquisitor, who has had enough for insubordination. And Reva says that she found Kenobi, but the Grand Inquisitor is like, he cannot risk her losing him again. So he pretty much orders Reva to step aside, but Reva stabs him through the torso and leaves him there to die, and she herself literally goes after Kenobi and Leia, and well, the cargo shuttle pretty much flees, and Reva's like frustrated and vows that the Empire will find him. So yeah, and inside the shuttle, Kenobi senses a disturbance in the Force, and pretty much that turns out to be Darth Vader in the Bacta tank, and that's where it ends.
I don't think he senses any. I mean, he could be, but I read the scene as he's dealing with the realization that Anakin is alive.
Could be that, yeah.
I would say that's more so the case because I don't see how. I mean, maybe he would be able to sense him. I don't see that though.
Who knows? Maybe.
But that was just my reading because, we saw her in that whole scene. After she tells him that Anakin is alive, he's like in a daze.
Yeah.
Oh, and plus, getting to see Vader without the suit, pretty hot. Am I right?
I guess there's that.
God.
Anyway, so yeah. So Luke, what do you think of all this?
Okay, so the fake Jedi trying to, in a genuine way, make amends. That was something that was nice, and I appreciated that. Seeing Reva interrogate that guy using I'm curious, does that Force technique have a name? Like an official name?
The mind probing, it's just called mind probe.
Obviously, that's probably a bit of a nod to the sequels, because of course Kylo Ren is rather famous for doing that at this point. And when they get to that sort of warehouse area, Obi-Wan and Leia, when they get to that warehouse area with all the crates, and there are a couple of things there I do want to highlight as well. First off, being an interaction where Obi-Wan talks about, he expresses this person to Leia as a very dear friend of his, and Leia asks, "Was your friend a Jedi?" And Obi-Wan says, "No, she was a great leader." And Leia expresses her condolences, and Obi-Wan in turn expresses his, because of course we know who he's talking about.
Yeah, Padme.
Yeah.
So.
And of course Obi-Wan giving his condolences, because of course Leia and Luke never got the chance to meet their biological mother.
So much.
And sorry, Henson?
Just saying, loved that moment so much.
That was a really nice moment, actually. It's probably one of my favorites from both. And then the moment of Reva with her saber ignited while Obi-Wan is hiding amongst the crates. Am I the only one who thought that was meant to be kind of a Return of the Jedi parallel?
No.
Well, that's kind of what I thought they were doing. I thought it was kind of a Return of the Jedi reference.
No.
The hero hiding and the villain hunting the prey.
That's just a trope in fiction.
Yeah.
The hero is hiding and the villain is stalking around, giving some kind of monologue. I mean, that's just a trope.
Yeah, it's a trope. It's not really something Star Wars specific.
I know, but because we've seen it in Star Wars before, I thought it was kind of meant as a nod to something else. That was all. Something I really didn't like with the monologue, though, is that Reva makes it clear to Obi-Wan that she knows Anakin and Vader are one and the same. How would any of the Inquisitors know that?
Okay, I would like to say here, we still got, what, 4 episodes? There is clearly more to this character than we know. So, best to hold judgment until we have the full picture.
I guess.
Right. And
Because I think there is a reason why her, of all the Inquisitors, is so fixated on Kenobi. It's not just to get, in Vader's good graces.
well,
I think there is like a reason for that. Maybe Vader tasked her with this. I don't know, but I think there is something there that we just don't know the full picture of yet.
Maybe. And I honestly thought this was going to be the moment where Obi-Wan was going to confront Reva head on in a duel, but obviously we didn't get that. Then the Grand Inquisitor shows up. My big problem with this is that she manages to catch him off guard extremely casually. You're telling me the Grand Inquisitor was not able to defend himself at all?
Or even foresee that she was going to stab him.
Yeah, like he didn't raise his saber. There wasn't any duel between the two. There wasn't anything. She just managed to kill him on the spot. Like,
don't
seriously?
use the word kill. He's not dead.
Well, dead or
by
not,
any other standards, that would be a fatal wound. So
they're gonna have to explain.
Well, we know he's alive because of
Somehow.
rebels, so
Yeah,
he's not dead.
Somehow. So we'll see how they handle that one.
It is not that surprising. We have a character in this canon who got cut in half and somehow lived. Someone getting stabbed in the chest and surviving should not be that out of the realm of possibility. Literally, something far more severe has happened.
Well, to be fair, that character's explanation of how it came back was not a good one, but yeah.
But the point is, he survived that. And that was getting cut in half and falling down. Who knows how far down that shaft was? All he did was get stabbed in the chest. That is nothing compared to getting cut in half.
I just know for a fact I'm going to be laughing my backside off with whatever explanation they try and pull for how he survives.
We'll see what they do. So there is that.
I mean, I would say that it's not out of the realm of possibility that the other Inquisitors come in, put some, I don't know, back to juices on the wound or something. Or he uses his hatred or whatever to keep himself from dying, which is what Maul did, so. The point is, there are ways to explain it, not that it really matters, because again, we know he survives.
Well, we'll see how it goes. So,
Yeah.
Anything else to mention on this?
Then obviously Obi-Wan and Leia board the transport. They're heading off. Reva makes it clear that this won't be the, you haven't seen the last of me. Typical sort of thing when the hero gets away from the villain. Obi-Wan just verbally processing the fact that Anakin is still alive, and we get the shot of Vader in the back to tank, which
shot.
Which I have to say that is genuinely quite creepy.
Certainly more so than the one in Rogue One.
Yeah, because this.
Well, then again, I mean, the one in Rogue One, we didn't get like a close face shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was like distance and kind of obscured through the glass, but here we got like a full dead-on look at him.
Yeah, you properly see the what's left of the man that was Anakin Skywalker floating in that back to tank, and it is pretty intimidating.
Indeed. So yeah. For me, well, I think this part was interesting. So I don't know if I have much more to say on this, other than, well, there's definitely stuff that we're gonna have to wait and see for the next episodes to come. So yeah. So there you go. Anything else to mention on this episode, guys?
No.
Okay. So yeah. Now, before we get to the conclusion, there is one thing that we do want to discuss regards, well, at least me and Luke, and it's to regards to one possible outcome that the marketing is strongly hinting at.
Oh god.
Yeah, so yeah, and we'll have to see how it goes. But what the marketing is hinting is not really going well on my end and Luke's end. Well, more Luke. So, Luke, do you want to say what it is?
Oh fucking Right, well, if any of you watching this video have also watched the trailer reaction that General and I did for this show, you will know that one of the big concerns we've got is the big thing that this show is being hyped on, that being the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. And there are a couple of pieces of marketing, and shall I mention exactly which pieces of marketing we're thinking of?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is the play episode screen when you select Kenobi on Disney Plus, which literally shows Obi-Wan looking at who is clearly Darth Vader, and you can see Vader's gloved hand, saber ignited, as that picture, and you can clearly tell they're on Tatooine. You can very, very clearly see that. And the other piece of marketing, you can literally see, at least as of right now, on the central banner of Disney Plus's homepage when you're scrolling through the TV shows featured within that banner. And it's a picture of Obi-Wan with his hood up, and he's sort of looking over his shoulder. And if you look at that particular picture and look very closely in the background, you can see Darth Vader stood atop a cliff with his lightsaber ignited. And those pieces of marketing are giving me and General the very unwanted impression that the duel between these two is going to take place on Tatooine.
Yeah.
General, shall I?
Someone send me these images.
I got here one of them, the poster in particular, because apparently there's actually one of the posters of Kenobi is that same image. I'm gonna say this. Now, Henson is right when he said that, yeah, the show has been marketing for a while the confrontation of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. And
the show was sold on.
So that, yeah, we were expecting. So the issue we have is not necessarily that, because we're already kind of accepting it. No, the issue we have with this marketing is that it's taking place on Tatooine, which I think is the worst place to have this confrontation, if it's even going to happen. It's the absolute worst. So, yeah. Luke, do you want to mention why it's the worst place, or shall I do it?
Shall we see if we can trade reasons? Like you say one reason,
Here's the thing.
Say another.
Well, let me say it. So, it's the reason why Luke was sent to Tatooine in the first place. It's the one place Vader would never go to. Unless you're the Marvel comic, in which case, yeah, he went to Tatooine, but that was after episode 4. But, here's the thing, though. I trust that the people involved in this understand the characters they are working. And in regards to these marketing images, here's the thing. Just because we see something in a piece of marketing doesn't mean we're going to see it in the show.
Yeah, that's why I and Luke are hoping that it's just marketing speaking and not actually in the show. That's what we're actually hoping. That the confrontation does happen, just that it's not on Tatooine. That's what we are hoping.
Because, I mean, here's the thing. What other planet would they show? Tatooine, meaningful planet for the both of them. So in terms of marketing the show, yeah, it makes sense. And as I said, I trust the people involved in this, that they understand the characters. I mean, with the callbacks, the prequels, Obi-Wan's mindset, the mindsets of other characters, Owen, Bail, I don't believe the confrontation is going to be on Tatooine. Point is, I don't believe it's going to take place on Tatooine. I think this is just the marketing doing its marketing thing. The reason it's showing Tatooine is because that's a planet everyone's familiar with, and if they show other planets, that would spoil things. And we all know how Disney Star Wars is in regards to not revealing stuff until like the last possible moment.
Mm. Well,
so I don't think we have reason to be afraid.
Okay, could we please explain our grievances with this?
Well,
If it turns out to be true.
Okay, so for the sake of argument here, okay, so I can think of three main problems as to why this battle happening in Tatooine is an issue. So, look, you want to go with the first one?
Okay, so first off, the confrontation being on Tatooine of all places, if this turns out, if the marketing becomes reality, really, really doesn't make sense, because given everything that Vader went through, it's been made clear in both continuities that he has an immense grudge against Tatooine as a planet, so why would he want to go back there again? And I mean, just to bring this up, it's already been mentioned that they've already sort of broken that the Disney canon has already gone against that once before with having Vader return to Tatooine and slaughter another tribe of Tusken Raiders, so that very much opens up the possibility to go against that rule again if they wanted to. General, do you want to take the next reason?
There's that, so that one's already there. The next one is a more important one. So basically, there is a very, very strong likelihood that Vader would either start asking questions or be suspicious as to why Obi-Wan would be there in the first place. Out of all the places that Obi-Wan could have exiled himself, why Tatooine of all of them?
I mean, I could think of a very good reason. Vader would have no reason to go there.
And what's that reason?
Because a lot of bad shit happened on Tatooine.
Yeah, a lot of bad shit.
But the only reason, well, outside of the fact that we did see him go back to Tatooine in the Marvel comic, I can totally buy that he would go back to Tatooine just to kill Kenobi.
There is that.
It would just fuel his rage even more.
Probably could be. So, yeah. Now, the reason why I mentioned this is because if Maul was able to figure it out in his last moments before dying at Kenobi's, shoulders at the end of Rebels, then Vader should be, unless his rage literally clouds the shit out of him. But I do think Vader should be smart enough in some way to at least figure it out, unless they write him as dumber than Maul, I guess. I don't know how that would go.
Yeah, exactly. If Maul was able to determine that Obi-Wan was protecting someone, Vader should be more than capable, unless the writers dumb down his intelligence.
Yeah, so that's the second reason. Now, third reason, Luke?
The third reason, okay, you've got two space wizards fighting on a planet that, yes, is very desolate, but even if they were to fight on the grounds of Tatooine that is furthest away from any of the planet's general populace, you would think word of that confrontation would get out, right, General?
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Well, even so, there is still the possibility, I think, of word of such a confrontation getting out if it happens on Tatooine. And if it does, surely that would absolutely seal Owen's distrust in Obi-Wan and say to him, right, Ben, this is the last straw, stay away from my family for good.
Pretty much Owen's confirmation that Kenobi being a bad influence to Luke certainly would have been more than reassured.
Yeah, I mean, heck, what if... Now, hopefully the writers won't do this, but if the confrontation happens on Tatooine, what if they pull an old wounds and have it occur right outside the Lars homestead?
Well, that was something. Now, speaking of the writers, so...
Well, I mean, if that were the case, Well, I guess you could. I guess Obi-Wan could wipe Luke's memory, but I don't see them doing that.
Well, okay, so regards to the writers, so Yora mentioned that you trust the writers, and Luke is skeptical. Django had told me prior to the show coming out that one of the writers apparently is a guy called Joby Harold, who has been behind certain four, but one of them hasn't come out yet. Four.
I want to make it clear that I said I trust the people behind the show, not anyone specifically.
Well, he's one of them, so that's why I'm mentioning it.
Well, you said I said that I trusted the writer, and
writers.
I was correcting you.
Right. But anyway, so he's one of the people behind it, and his record on what he's done has been from mixed to negative, doing basically writing movies like Awake, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, and Army of the Dead. All three of them have been mixed to negatively received. And Django said he saw King Arthur, and he said it was a shit movie. So yeah, he's one of the guys behind this show. And it definitely gave some bad vibes for Django, and definitely gave me some vibes when I first heard it. And after seeing the 2 episodes and the marketing for the Confrontation, yeah, there is that one part of me that isn't skeptical of what they're gonna do. I'll still wait and see, but I am definitely on the skeptical side. Look, what do you think of this?
Well, a lot of what we've had in these 2 episodes alone, in my opinion, is questionable. And the marketing, again, especially in regards to the selling point, the confrontation that they're adding in, that's also been questionable as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not quite optimistic. I'm mixed at best.
Mm-hmm. So there is that. So yeah, we're pretty much on the skeptical side here. You, Henson, you probably still are going to wait and see and still trust in the people behind it.
I mean, as for the writer, I enjoyed Army of the Dead, so I still have no reason to worry that much. Keep in mind, we have other people behind the scenes too. Deborah Chow, as a good example. Honestly, I view this as her show more than anything.
So, okay, so any last things to say on this before we go to conclusion?
Let's just go to the conclusion.
Okay, so, alrighty then. So, conclusion, so who goes first?
I'll go first. So, overall, I had a great time with these 2 episodes. So much better than Book of Boba Fett. That show was hot garbage. Got the prequel actors doing prequel things. Love of the prequels on full display. Can't wait to see where this goes.
Anything else?
Well, hopefully. Well, I have a feeling that, we're going to be getting flashbacks, probably to the Clone Wars. And if we do, I hope we get to see a young live-action Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
That would, because the TCW kid in me would just be squealing like a little girl at that.
I thought that was Luke.
Well, I mean, hey, I was a big TCW fan as a kid, too. And, hell, just getting to see them, using the de-aging technology and all that, seeing them in that era, you see, and that's another thing. That's something that this show can do. Giving me something I never thought I would ever see again. Like when Mando gave me live-action battle droids again. I never thought I would see live-action battle droids again. And then Mando came along and gave me that. And also Jedi Temple, which was, baller. But again, giving me stuff I never thought I would see again.
Okay. There is that. Luke?
My opinion on these 2 episodes, it's great that the respective actors from the prequel trilogy who have reprised their roles for this, so that's Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Jimmy Smits, Tamira Morrison, etc., have done so, and there are some, as I say, really, really small moments that I do enjoy, but the main plot and the key focuses of this show have me very skeptical moving forward. That's it from me.
Okay. In my end, well, I say this show definitely is better than Book of Boba Fett, at least this beginning, compared to the beginning of Book of Boba Fett. I say it's definitely better, though there are still some things that definitely make me skeptical, just as Luke. So we'll have to wait and see how they do it. But overall, I can say it definitely is a step up from what we got before live action wise. So still not as good as Mandalorian, but then again, that show's already completed. So
I mean, honestly, I prefer this over Mandalorian.
okay, well,
Because you see, the thing is with Mandalorian, I went into that show wanting a Mandalorian doing Mandalorian things, and instead I got a Mandalorian guest starring in a Baby Yoda show. And in this show, I got exactly what I wanted, which I can't say the same for in regards to Mandalorian. So in that respect, I'm enjoying this more.
I guess there is that. In my end, I did like Mandalorian more, but that's because that's already finished. So we'll have to wait and see how this one goes before I can fully judge it against the other live action shows. I do say it's better than Book of Boba Fett
Which is not saying much.
Yeah, there is that. So yeah, that's all I got for now. And yep. So next time we'll be tackling episode 3 of the Kenobi show in 1 week. Or less than 1 week, whenever the episode comes out, the podcast.
Yeah, I think episodes are coming out, or will be coming out on Wednesday.
They come out every Wednesday, weekly base. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, stay tuned for episode 3 and the next State of Star Wars podcast. So yeah. So with that, we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye bye.
Been fun.
May the Force be with you guys.